temple is part of a complex of cave temples that are found at a site in India that is known as Ellora. Here there are over 30 cave temples. All of them are intricately carved out of solid rock into the side of a mountain. It is a whole complex of cloisters and walkways and auxiliary shrines. And it's a complex that is twice the size of the Parthenon in Athens. It is an absolute magnificent feat of engineering and also logistics. And archaeologists have determined that over a time of 18 years, the builders scooped out over 400,000 tons of rock. That means they had a workforce, and they worked for 12 hours each day. They would still have to remove 5 tons of rock every hour. And even if they worked for 24 hours a day, that would still mean 2.5 tons of rock per hour. Who does that? We can't do that today. I think that it's quite possible that at some point, extraterrestrials gave technology to our ancestors, that they taught them how to use them, because the extraterrestrials never dirtied their hands, ever. All they did was give instructions. And this is why these holy places began. So the idea is that the Kailasa temple was one of the places where direct physical contact happened with extraterrestrials.
I think there's an easier explanation, which is that this structure was not carved into a mountain, which they're so confident of. That's like the one thing that they appear to be confident about, is that this was carved into a mountain. I think the structure became the mountain, and that's why there's 400,000 tons of basalt missing. There's more basalt missing than what's left behind. I think that's because there was no extra basalt to begin with. This structure made the basalt. And you can see here, see all these lines? And I'm doing a horrible job of drawing them, but you can make it out. They get further and further apart. I think what we're seeing is it goes from brick to block, and ultimately to mega blocks. They say this is all one big rock mountain that's been carved into. And you can see it sloping down on this side, like it was melting more, and the lines follow the slope, follow it down. Here, look, we've got some melted steps. You see that? This place is riddled with melted steps. Look back here. We see more blocks in these steps. Here as well. Here as well. Here as well. Why would they leave the ground, if this is carved, why would they leave the ground like that, where you're going to fall on your ass? It looks melted. I mean, does that look natural carved or melted? Or aliens? Does that look like just something that we need aliens to explain it away? Again, why would they leave the ground like this? It's just a hot mess. It's spilling out. You see it spilling out? It looks like mud, like thick mud spilling, but it's hard, it's solidified. So they would leave this bottom so dangerous, but they would come up here and carve this little guy's hat, his strap, and a little small person here, because he's probably a giant. Yeah, I don't think it's carved, and I think this over here is probably original. This is probably blown out brick. Brick that's heat expanded. And this is more melted steps. That's my assessment anyway. You see we got steps here. I think this was also a step, but it's flowing out. This was also a step, running over. You can actually see where it's the same. See, here's a step, here's a step, here's a step. This one kept its location right here, but then it started spilling out this way and spilling out that way. You see, this is all step. This is all step that's melted. And you can see the texture. This texture is the same as this texture. You know, this is all heat damaged. It's all heat damaged. We got apertures back here that were closed in, or detailing that's just lost. It's softened, so you don't have the detailing anymore. Look, this is spilling out from here, spilling out over the steps over here. You see that? Look, it's spilling over the step right here. Is that carved, natural, aliens, or melted? I mean, the idea of it melted is never even brought into the discussion. Look at this. What's going on there? Is that natural? Is that carved? Is that aliens? Or is that melted? What does it look like to you? What does this look like? This up here looks like blocks. Blown out, deformed blocks, but blocks. I don't think that's natural or carved. Or aliens. All this blobby shit up here. Why would they leave it that way? Got more melted steps. See these steps here? See how it's flowing? All this bubbly, rubbly stuff. And you can see right here where there's like a section of flat wall in a little corner here. But then all this is spilling over and just consumed it. Oh, we got more melted steps over here too. See that? See how they're flowing down, smoothed out in the middle. You got this dangerous floor where you're going to fall on your ass. But you have these very nice crisp columns with like fluting details on these capitals. But the floor, I didn't get the floor right. Everybody's going to be tripping and falling on their ass trying to carve this shit. More melted steps. How are you going to get there? You're going to come down here, and then you're going to fall that way. You're going to fall that way. And more melted steps. See that? And maybe even, you know, whenever this cataclysm, this heat event took place, maybe people were running down here and running down here, running here, you know, running there. I don't know, but it looks melted. It doesn't look carved or natural, or I don't need aliens to make sense of this. What I'm seeing based off, you know, this clear pattern that I've noticed looking into this is that it's just a severely damaged melted building, and it was probably red brick turned to block. I mean, you can see up here these lines. You see these lines? And here, like those were blocks. Because the majority of these structures, it seems like all these old world structures had red brick internals, and maybe they put, you know, different exteriors on them, including maybe stones or blocks. I don't know. But the red brick is definitely a common theme that we see over and over, you know. Like, I mean, look at this beautiful detailing here and this figure. But then they couldn't finish these parts. That looks, to me, that looks melted. I mean, very clearly melted. Here's another, and I think this, to me, I mean, does this look carved or natural? To me, it looks like it's kind of folding down over itself, over the layers, pouring out here, pouring down, pouring down. And whenever we zoom in, you look at the details, look at these steps here. It looks like this is spilling out over the steps. You see that? Why would they carve it that way? Over here too, even though it's we're not getting a whole lot of it, you can see where they're kind of bubbling out, starting to melt in with this down here. And I think all this masonry here is original, and we got blown out bricks. You can see the reddish tones kind of bleeding through. So that's what I'm seeing. And like I said, this damage is everywhere. This is also in India, and I just wanted to show it because this is a good example of a transformation from very exquisite detailing, very complex detailing, to blocks. This is like sandwich. You see this? All this detailing here, and it's sandwiched between these blocks here. And this here, you've got this detail section here, but then it's all these blocks. All these, so I mean, look at these like little chips and stuff. Why would they put that there to hold up all this shit? And look up here. What the hell is this? This big block here. Look, there's boulders fused to the top. And look, this is block becoming block. And look here. What the hell's going on here? And these are everywhere. I'm just showing you this because it's also in India where the Ellora caves are. So if this would have gotten more damaged and more transformed from heat, because whenever things get hot, the particles and the minerals start to vibrate, move out really quickly. They make new bonds, it cools, and you have a totally new substance and a new form. So if this would have got heated more, it would have created this block effect for this whole thing. But we just have little sections that, for some reason or another, were transformed during the heat, the way the heat carried through this structure. This is also in India, just to show the forms. You find this kind of Greco-Roman, what we call Greco-Roman style, along with the temples and pyramids. I think it was all one of the same mega, really amazing civilization. And this is also in India. You can clearly make out that it's red brick internals, and as it goes up, it gets more intact. We still have the facade on the top, But as the lower we go, the more chewed up and deformed and blown out the red bricks became. This is also at that same site. You can see down here where the bricks were getting really deformed and they're not consistently shaped anymore. They would have had to jigsaw it in together. You see some blocks popping out here, ballooning out. And even if we go up here, you can see right here, there's blocks. You see those blocks there forming where they group together. So I think the Ellora caves could have very well been red brick internals that turned to block, that turned to mega block. And I think that's where the mystery is. Now, whether this is done knowingly or through ignorance, I don't know. My guess is that it's intentional, that these lies are intentional. And I think it's a form of attack, you know, attack against our mental freedom, the way that we perceive reality. And I think seeing this truth, because it's not just this one location. I just focused on this one to kind of showcase, but it's literally countless the amount of evidence you can find to support this theory of this mega civilization that experienced a intense, insane, unimaginable type of cataclysm, one big event. But look at this one, even though it's blurry, you can make out this rectangular form here. And it's the same underside color, this kind of terracotta red with this like black crust that's spilling over, and it just swallowed up whatever this was here. The melt just swallowed it up. And this looks a lot like telos in Turkey. It has the same effect with the blackened crust with the like terracotta underside. There's a bunch of these examples. You can look at Petra in Jordan. Yeah, it's all over the damn place. But that's where I think the big gap in the story is. That's why they have to, History Channel has to tell you that it's fucking aliens, because that makes more sense than the whole story that they're telling you, that they're so confident of. They're starting you at the wrong angle. So you're instantly trying to make it fit into this carved nonsense. It's just damaged, extreme heat damage, altered state of matter, and that's what we're living amongst. So pretty sure all of history is a lie, or at least completely manipulated to sell us down a different track of understanding, you know, where we came from. Anyway, that's about it. I was just trying to keep this really short. I recorded this so many times and it was so long, and I tried to edit and all this crap. So I'm just going to get right to the point, keep it short. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.